Welcome back to Just the Facts, where the brilliant minds meet. Today we're one-on-one with Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., just getting his insights on what 2014 has been like in the political sphere and Kenya in general. In this next half, I want us to tackle, of course, Makueni. Makueni has been drama central for us. We love you people for making the newsroom so busy.
I tell you. As
we discuss the security situation and your critical analysis of the government. I know you have quite a bit to say. Let's start off in Makueni. I think Makueni happened to be, unfortunately, the personification of devolution being unable to work in a country like Kenya. It substantiated the claims that the mechanism of devolution was a bit too complex for a country like Kenya. Kenya, I think, characteristically doesn't adapt too well to change. We saw how it was when we were moving from the constitution, the process it took for us to actually get this constitution, the drama from moving from a one-party state to a multi-party, democracy sort of system. And now we have devolution, and Makueni is already dissolving their county government, just a year or so plus, into the inner workings of devolution. So you got in, just in the heat of things. Everything exploded while you were in office. What did it feel like to see your county show that devolution might not be able to work?
Unfortunately, I'm not as cynical as you, and I will never be. Remember that if you want to measure whether devolution is important for this country or not, don't ask the MCAs or the governors who are enjoying chase cars and bodyguards and a flag. Don't ask those people. Go down and ask Wanjiko, go and ask Mudeu, go and ask that lady who didn't have facilities, now has facilities, ambulances, etc., etc.
But your Wanjikos right now are tired of the MCAs and your governor.
No. You see, the point is that MCAs are a direct result of an election. And therefore, it's a learning curve. And in the learning curve, we realize that even when we elect leaders, those leaders, however good they may be, at the time they are trying to woo us into voting for them, can turn out to be the worst thing for us. Similarly, we never legislated to the extent where we were taking care of people's egos. Half the problems you have in counties is not disputes about whether we should buy 10 ambulances or 50. Whether we should have more maternal care or not, whether we should be buying more rigs or not. The disputes we are having in counties is, why are you spending more money than the other? The question, the bottom line, disputes, is that you have taken money to counties where hitherto, like Makueni, since 1963, has never received 4.3 billion shillings in 12 months. Those quarrels are about money, nothing else. And therefore, as I said, this is a year of learning, and that is the reason why Senate, through Commission of Revenue Authority, has proposed ceilings on budgets, because we realized we gave them a blank check to spend money. But then they started going to Israel to look for the place where Jesus was born. They have now gone to Dubai to look for sand. You understand? There's those sort of problems. They have gone to Singapore to
But see, if you have all these small problems to do with money and getting money, isn't that just substantiating the notion that, guess what, people are not ready?
No. In fact, by the way, let me tell you, it's a national problem. Government wastes as much money as county governments are doing. We have just translocated the bad manners and devolved it directly into counties.
Yeah.
The fact is that when counties are receiving a small percentage of the national cake, national government is wasting more money at national level. It's only that nobody talks about it. But the one at county is exemplified because there was no money there, there are no systems, systems are being put in place, and by the time the systems work, you're going to have these problems. Makueni is not exactly, it's not a case for you to say is a problem, because the problems Makueni is facing are there in all counties, all of them. It's only that in this particular case, they were too quick to propose to dissolve the county as opposed to finding a method. Two, again, the drafters of the law and the devolution laws in their own selves never imagined that there will be quarrels at county level. You see, the Constitution has provided a mechanism for dispute resolution between county governments and national governments. But we do not have a mechanism for dispute resolution when county governors and speakers in the assemblies quarrel. And the imbalance is created this way, and let me explain. You vet a governor who is then elected. The governor then puts out county executives who are then go to office. You have MCAs who pick a speaker from wherever it is, in a bush somewhere. They elect him as speaker, and that speaker all of a sudden assumes the role as if power in that county is being shared between him and the governor. That is the imbalance that has been created by not prescribing a standard of electing a speaker, by not prescribing who will be elected as speaker, by not prescribing who will vet a speaker. And therefore, the 47 speakers have never been vetted by anybody.
Now, wait, allow me to cut you short. We've talked about dispute and the heart of the issue.
Yes.
To some degree, I get the notion that maybe it's just, you know, another situation, same thing that we see going on in the National Assembly, you know. Party politics. Is party politics one of the issues in Makueni, you know?
But it's political parties. Political parties, and this is the scenario. The governor is elected on a party called Muungano, which is in a minority.
Yeah.
The majority, both elected at national level, at Senate, and at MCA level, the majority are from Wiper. The speaker is elected from Jubilee Coalition, URP party. That is what I'm talking about. Sometimes people subscribing to their political affiliations as opposed to the people of Makueni. That is part of the problem, but it's a very small problem as far as I'm concerned, because you cannot then, as speaker, then have an agenda that is different from the agenda of the others. And you can't, as governor, have a different agenda from the agenda of the rest, because you do not have the will, you cannot impose your will on anyone. So the political party element is just a small little bit where people misbehave. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, there are more fundamental, deep-seated issues that would come out and then create this sort of thing where ideally you expect that the governor sits, prepares a plan, what we call a CIPD and a policy plan. He takes it to the assembly. He defends his policy. You go to the assembly and say, ladies and gentlemen, this is the policy I have for this county. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would like you to pass this so that then in the next phase we can do 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You understand? Mm-hmm. And then you sort of build a consensus as to how those policies will be formulated. You build a consensus as to how money will be spent. These people are arguing about the money first. Let's split 5.6 billion in this county, in this formula first, and then deal with the issues later. You see, it's the reverse.
It seems like an issue with structure, actually.
It's the reverse.
Yeah.
You're supposed to then say, we need 10 boreholes. How much will they cost? You structure it.
Exactly.
And then, when you have a balance, you say, now we have balance for recurrent expense. How are we going to spend this money? What are your priorities? Do you have seats? Do you have structures? Do you have vehicles? Do you need fuel? That is the way you should do it. They're doing it the other way. They're saying, if it's this amount of money, cut it into half like Solomon, so the Solomon's baby. You keep yours, I'll keep mine, and then let's plan.
But Mheshimiwa, it's very easy to point out what's going wrong. It's very easy to identify the problem. It's very easy to give solutions. It's a whole other thing to implement the solutions. You're here, Senator. What have you done? As you see your colleagues fighting amongst each other.
I have suggested severally, even at the time when we had the gun drama. I even had drafted a beautiful document with 7 points, which had a dispute resolution mechanism. I had even suggested that we have a panel of persons who would then be tasked to be go-betweens where the two portions of the county government and county assembly do not agree. I had even suggested a method. I had even suggested a method of how we would deal with budgets. And I said, we, the Senate, are the big brothers of this county. We are the people responsible. If you have a problem about how budgets should be done and you cannot agree, send it to the Senate. if you have a bill in this county and that you cannot agree between the county government and the county assembly how the structure should be, refer it to the legal minds. And I keep saying that in the Senate, while the National Assembly has the tyranny of numbers, the Senate has the tyranny of brains. And therefore, we are the people who will be able to resolve and tell you, don't do this, do this. We'll be able to summon, for example, control of budget. What is the best way to handle this? We'll be able to summon Commission of Revenue or Authority. We'll be able to summon the Auditor General. We'll be able to summon the COB, control of budgets. Therefore, that is what I had suggested. I said, leave your egos at home. Concentrate on institutions. Work with institutions. Don't look at me as a young man elected in this Senate. Look at me as a representative of an institution that can help this county. Look at the members of parliament as persons we can use in the institution of parliament. If we need people to do Hansards, if we need clerks, if we need capacity, if we need whatever it is. And I even told them that I have drafted 28 model laws for this county. The day you need them, tell me, I will bring them so that I can then facilitate. Because, you know, unknown to many people, we criticize these MCAs a lot too much. But we never prescribed capacities for them to do this. Most of them do not have capacities to argue a budget. Most of them do not have capacities to argue a finance act or defend it all the way with their teeth to wherever it is. The capacity is lacking. And therefore, what I was simply telling them is, let's admit our faults. Just say I don't have capacity, give it to the senator, send it to the Senate, because the Constitution has provided a method for petitioning both the Senate and National Assembly to build capacity. And therefore, that is where you then have a tiff, because you have people looking at things from a different perspective.
You said that.
Three, one of the other problems that we have in this country is that members of county assembly are elected by those people at their respective wards on the premise that they will deliver certain things, correct? Now, they have told their people, I'm going to build a road, I'm going to build a hospital. But can they do so under the Constitution? They can't. They're supposed to be members who can do oversight. And that is where the problem is. The problem is that the people at ward level are saying, you have not brought me a road, yet we elected you to bring a road. Yet that is the work of the county government. Their work is for the county government to propose a project in a particular ward. Their work is to do oversight. But when they go to the ground, they are told the governor brought a project. You have not brought a project, the Senate has not brought a project. Those are the problems we are having out there in Mashinani, because they expect the senator to build a hospital, a school. They expect the ward representative to build a hospital and a school. Yet, that is not the role that we are supposed to play.
Exactly.
And therefore it creates a conflict where members of county assembly want money to go and deliver on their promises, because they will be elected on those promises. Thank you.
All right. Wow. You said that the Senate has, as opposed to the National Assembly, the tyranny of numbers, you guys have the tyranny of brains.
Right.
Why aren't we not seeing that impact? We can't see it.
The reason you cannot see it, I have just told you, is that somebody is making sure that the door to the Senate is closed permanently by ensuring that bills that concern counties do not come into the Senate.
Tell me about the security laws.
Yes. What exactly?
What you said about it. You tweeted about it that you were left out, especially in regards to the fact that it deals with counties, yes, and you people should have been made a part of it. We saw the drama at Parliament. We know that ideally the same way the National Assembly is divided is probably the same way the Senate is divided. What would have made it any different?
Let me tell you.
What would have Senate involvement changed? Or would it have just been 2 stages of drama that Kenyans got so entertained by?
No. We have distinguished ourselves as persons who can argue points on different political parties without necessarily resulting into what I call caveman tactics, like I saw in the National Assembly. And it's a tragedy, because if by passing these laws, the Jubilee coalition is saying that these are not matters involving counties, it's a tragedy. And let me tell you why it is a tragedy. What was the reason why this country is in a hurry to legislate on security? Isn't it Mandela?
I think it's a collection of everything.
No. But Mandela is the catalyst.
Yes.
Now, the senator of Mandela is from the Jubilee coalition. Last Saturday, he published an article in the Standard criticizing the methods which the National Assembly created this law and the reason why Senate was skipped. It is a contradiction for anybody in this country to even dare imagine that questions of security do not involve counties, because this law is not going to be implemented on air. This law will be implemented at counties. Even if that document just passed through Senate for purposes of just being flipped and tossed back to the National Assembly for the president's signature, the people who represent at county level would have understood that this law has been checked by a total of 67 legislators at Senate, and therefore our input, however cosmetic, would have been necessary, because that public out there, the people I represent, want to hear my voice. What is Senator Mutula Kilonzo's position as to the question as to why a person who is convicted on robbery with violence should be monitored by police for 5 years when the person who is not in prison doesn't have security? Do you understand? What is the reason why the National Assembly would suggest in clause 69 of that bill that you can amend the word parliament to put National Assembly and remove the role of Senate insofar as National Intelligence Service is concerned? Are we together? That is something that somebody out there who I represent and the others would have loved to hear. What is your view about the appointment of a gentleman called the Inspector General? What is the reason? What is the reason why this country, after 4 years of a constitution, we have decided to walk backwards? It's called Mussolini tank. Mussolini tank is where you go 2 steps back forwards and 5 backwards. What is the reason why the National Assembly thought that you would remove the, what we call safety nets of the appointment and removal of an Inspector General? What has that got to do with terrorism? That is what we would have loved to argue, so that the public, the international community can understand, because they have lost the benefit of the argument. You see, if the clip that you are running here, when Speaker Muturi is looking down and he says, Clause 9 be part of the bill, all in favor say aye, they say aye. He doesn't even check. What is required under the standing orders is this, is that where you have so many people either on their feet or where it's doubtful as whether the eyes and the nose, you can't tell the numbers, you're supposed to call for a division. 2, where there is an amendment, the person who's moving the amendment must move the amendment, and there will be a seconder, there will be a debate. Unless there is consensus, then you go to the division. 3, the Republic of Kenya and taxpayers have paid so much money to have live broadcast. What is the reason? Is Wanjiku must be able to understand what you are doing. 5, the Republic of Kenya and taxpayers have paid so much money so that we can have what is called electronic voting. We no longer stand on top of our seats to say, Makueni says yes. You vote. It's on a screen and everybody can see. But even more importantly, it's possible that there are people in Jubilee who didn't agree with that bill. It's possible there are people in court who are supporting the bill or clauses in the bill. We never got to hear that. It's part of the law. You are a legal scholar like me. When you go to court and you are saying, like we do, the intention of Parliament in passing the Security Amendment Bill was to prevent terrorism, where will you get the material? The only material you will have is this clip that is in every person's, internationally or otherwise, of people throwing papers all over the place. That is the only thing that will tell us that Kenyans passed law about security in a lawless manner.
That was our circumstance. But let's look at the argument, Mheshimiwa, that I think the scenario, what the country was facing, was a bit critical. President Uhuru Kenyatta, I'm sure...
We were not at war.
But does that mean that we should have taken more time? That with the threats that the country has been facing. I mean, we had
Westgate
two
happened.
Manderas, we had Westgate, we've had too many
but can I
security
ask you a question?
violations. Are we going to spend time on protocol and people giving their views?
No. Please, people are watching. We can't have that argument. That argument exists in bedrooms.
Something
Let me tell you
needed
something.
to be done.
No. Let me tell you, the problem in Mandera is not the law. The problem in Mandera is much worse than the law. And the question is this: do we have people in our borders who are protecting our borders so that people don't cross as if they are going to buy tomatoes? That's what I'm talking about. The people who were in the quarry, 15 people killed, 15 kilometers later, people walk back, nobody's arrested. The point is this: look at Westgate, the siege at Westgate. Let me ask you, what is the law about that is supposed to prevent what happened at Westgate? Yesterday, by the way, I watched Munira Mohammed on K24. She walked into 4 malls last week with a pistol at the back of her trouser. You tell me, what in that law is going to prevent what happened in what I saw in the clip? What am I saying? I'm saying we first of all must then go back and ask ourselves, do we have a system problem between collection of intelligence, implementation, etc., etc.? The people who died in Capedo, the ones who survived, what did they say? They said, we drove into a place and found ourselves in an ambush. We had radios, we had telephone calls, we called, nobody responded. You tell me, the law that was passed and signed by the president, how it's going to address that issue? It cannot. Listen carefully, let me tell you. The problem is a system. We have a road called Garissa Road, where most of these people transport some of these things into Nairobi. Garissa Road has got more than 20 roadblocks. How do these things pass here? We have instances and senators investigating where the people of Mandera go and tell the police, we have suspected person X in that house is a terrorist. What happens? That person is arrested. The following day, they are released. And that's the end of the story. What happens after that? The person who then has reported is found dead. You tell me, what does that got to do with the law? We must be able, as a country, to address the issues. And the issue is, are the people who are tasked with the work of collecting intelligence doing their work? One, are the people to whom these reports are given doing their work? Three, are the people who have the tools to do this work properly equipped to deal with these people? Because they are just a cluster of people. We don't need to amend our law on criminal procedure to deal with 10 people. Why would we do that? We would have easily set up an anti-terrorism court, denied those people who are suspected to be terrorists bail, keep them in some place, seclude them, expedite their trials and jail them. But I would have expected that this country should have provided, instead of fighting about small little things that don't matter, let me tell you, this country should have provided a mechanism to ensure that the 18 people who are buried in Nyeri, their families are compensated by the state. So that then we know that the state is serious about terrorism and is not just to give people ammunition and to make sure that people are sitting in more power. You know, when you give people more power, doesn't mean that you stem security. When you give the president more power to appoint whoever he feels like quickly, it doesn't mean you will stem insecurity. I would like to see a commitment of the national government by saying there are people who lost their family members in Nyeri. The reason they went to Mandera is because they were paid a lot of money. But now, there are no breadwinners in Nyeri, 18 families. What are these people going to do? We have forgotten about these people. We are concentrating on the wrong things. That is why I'm saying the remedy, the panacea to the problems we have in this country is not laws. Lastly, Ethiopia shares a border, just like Somalia. Why don't they walk in there? Do you know why? Because Ethiopia has got something called at almost 100-kilometer no man's land. You don't step there. In Kenya and Mandera is wall to wall. You can even brush your teeth in Somali and the other side of your toothbrush is in Kenya. You know that sort of thing.
I understand.
Yes.
On 2nd December, you tweeted that Uhuru has failed the country. This was after the Mandera Quarry attack.
Yes.
He failed the country. He came out very strongly after that, did away with Kimayo, did away with Olelenko, and then we saw this bill. So clearly he's trying to do something. Why can't we just give him time to work, you know?
Let me tell you, there's nobody who has criticized the president's attempt to stem insecurity.
Is that so?
No. We have just said, Mr. President, you are in a hurry to reclaim your glory as a president of this republic and the commander-in-chief. We are all affected. All, Mr. President, we are asking you and your coalition to do is this. In the portion that involves media, consult them. In the portion that involves lawyers, consult them. In the portion that involves other persons who might be critically affected by this law, consultation and public participation, it doesn't mean yielding. It doesn't mean you agree. It doesn't mean you surrender. President Uhuru Kenyatta is the president of this republic and is not going to change until the end of his term. The fact is that what is wrong about consulting and saying, Sakaja.
There was no time to consult.
Sakaja, chairman of TNA, is on record. What did Sakaja say? Sakaja said, Mr. Speaker, give everybody time to consult.
Yeah.
Kajwang said, Mr. Speaker, sorry, why don't you give people time to consult? What is it? If those legislators who are across the divide are saying, we do not need to do this in a hurry, why don't you give some time for consultation? I ask you again, what is the problem about giving this just a little more time so that everybody can then give in their input, amend what need to amend, and the president, we as a country, can tell those terrorists, wherever they are seated, hiding, that we are coming for you, left, right, and center, CORD and Jubilee, Raila, Kalonzo, Wetangula, and Uhuru lead the front, and as a country, not as CORD and Jubilee, we are going to tackle you guys. The next time you step into the soil, we're going to deal with you.
Wow. All right. You've said it. I get your perspective that we needed, I think, a much more collective approach to
it.
There was no need to draw more rifts in the country as it is.
And so that then Al-Shabaab are, you know, shooting in there and celebrating and saying,
of course, they have
oh, where are these guys? What's wrong with these people?
Thank you so much for coming, Heshimiwa. It was lovely to have you. I think that wraps it up for Just the Facts on Christmas Day. You've heard it yourself, that there was need for much more consultation. I mean, what's the rush? This is a country we're dealing with. This is a population of millions and millions of people, over 40 tribes. You know, at the end of the day, it really does boil down to what you and I want. You know, common mwananchi as the taxpayers. This is Just the Facts where the brilliant minds meet. I'm Kamene Goro. I want to give this opportunity to Mheshimiwa to wish the viewers a Merry Christmas. Which camera? Camera one.
I want to wish every person, Kenyan, watching this a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I just hope for the next few days we're going to concentrate on receiving what God did to us so that we can forgive people's sins and have less politics during Christmas. I want all politicians to stand down and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And lastly, this is not Christmas if you cannot share the little you have with somebody who doesn't have. Bless a person, bless a child who's disabled, bless an aged person, and 2015 will be a blessed year. Thank you.
Just the Facts where the brilliant minds meet. I'm Kamene Goro. Up until next time, wishing you an absolutely Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.